And I call the member for Spence.
Thank you, Acting Deputy Speaker. On Mondays, you'll often find me in the Federation Chamber speaking on a number of private members' motions, subject matter to those motions varying wildly from sitting week to sitting week. However, I'm pleased that the motion moved by the member for McPherson is being debated on the floor of the House instead. This, I feel, is mainly due to the subject matter of this debate. It's a very serious situation touching on serious subject matter, namely Australia's foreign policy, and our relationship with Iran in light of the violence occurring in that country, particularly since September 2022, in the aftermath of the death of a young woman, someone who had her whole life ahead of her. This woman's name was Mahsa Amini, or Gina, which was her Kurdish name. Her tragic death occurring after she was taken into custody by the morality police in Iran. As the member for McPherson's motion notes, a report was tabled from the Senate Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade References Committee. Some of the submissions to the report, many quite heartbreaking. I feel deeply for those directly and indirectly affected by the present situation in Iran. How could we not all be? I feel deeply for the Iranian diaspora in Australia having to hear about this on the news, or from loved ones who are in Iran itself. Many reside in my electorate of Spence. They are worried about their loved ones. This is as true for many in Australia who have left Iran or whose families had done so generations before them. Whether they are of the Baha'i faith, whether they are Kurdish, here or abroad, there's a sickening feeling, but it is one that was amplified by recent events. It is a feeling that lingers, because it is sadly not a surprise to many to hear that women are taken off the streets in Iran by the morality police for a wide number of perceived infractions, long before that fateful day in September 2022. It is no surprise to anyone listening to know that the reports of persecuted minority groups in Iran, the suppression of rights that we in Australia consider basic despite how fundamental they may be. I must say it's a marvel of our parliamentary committee system in that so many out there had faith that they could participate in a process such as this without fear. However, the report itself provides me with pause for thought and concern too. Speaker, I must admit that I am new to this place. Elected just last year, I have been a member of this parliament for much less time than the mover of this motion, the member for McPherson, and even that of the chair of the committee, Senator Chandler. Notwithstanding this, I was always given the strong impression that on matters such as national security, defence, foreign policy, a strong degree of bipartisanship is maintained. This helps to maintain continuity, strength and a certainty to the nations abroad, friend or otherwise, that Australia will not veer wildly in a different direction on the international geopolitical stage, depending on which party has formed the government of the day. It had served us well for many years now. In fact, the recent AUKUS announcement is a testament to the convention being applied in the area of defence and national security. This process, if conducted whilst following usual conventions, would see government and opposition, in fact all members of the committee, consulted as to the final recommendations made in the report. This was not the case. Sadly, as the Labor senators had noted, we did not see a conventional approach in this committee report, Speaker. Those opposite, when in government, trash conventions at the highest level. I hope they don't go down a similar path in opposition too. The member for McPherson would know all too well the impact not following conventions can have to our democratic system and to our image abroad. I would take it from the member's comments upon hearing of how the member for Cook trashed our conventions and made himself Minister for Home Affairs at the same time she held that same office, stating that she believed he ought to resign from the parliament. I'd have thought that there'd be a similar sense of outrage from the member when other conventions are thrown out the door as well. I hope in the future we can begin to see a clearer manifestation of His Majesty's loyal opposition, one that holds the government to account as good as opposition does, but in a constructive way that doesn't undermine the government as an enduring institution on the world stage. Whilst the opposite can spend time examining our tactics, the Albanese government will continue to examine ways and means to hold the Iranian government to account.
Thank the member for Spence. The question is